Hello, my name is Drew Sukup. On behalf of VMUG, I'd like to welcome you to today's Cloudian webcast, Cloudian Object Storage for VMware Cloud Foundation with Tanzu and the vSAN Data Persistence Platform, presented by Sanjay Jagad, Senior Director of Products and Solutions at Cloudian, and Gopala Suryanarayana, Product Line Manager at VMware.
Thank you, Drew. It's a pleasure for me and Gopala both to be here talking about this exciting solution. Today, we're going to talk about Cloudian Hyperstore on VMware's vSAN Data Persistence Platform, basically talking about how you can use Cloudian Object Storage on VMware's Cloud Foundation with Tanzu, right? We have a full pack agenda for us to talk about today. We're going to start off with talking about the challenges around the modern IT and the requirements, and then we'll jump into the Cloudian Hyperstore on VMware vSAN Data Persistence Platform solution. We'll just briefly talk about why Cloudian and then why VMware Data Persistence Platform. We'll give you an overview of different options that you have around deployments and use cases, and then we'll sum it up with benefits. We do definitely want to take some time for the questions. So without any further delays, let's get started. Right, one thing that we have constantly heard from a lot of our customers, and I think both myself and Gopala, we have spent significant amount of time being in the storage industry, talking to a lot of customers and enterprises. And the three themes that come out consistently is pretty much universal, right? One is obviously the cloud is changing the way IT infrastructures are being viewed. Basically, there is a trend around on-prem versus cloud, or how do I bring in cloud technologies to my on-prem data center so that I can get the simplicity, the scale, the economics, and be able to use the cloud resources to the best of my application needs. And talking about applications, we do see that in this current IT world, the applications are evolving, right? We are seeing newer applications being deployed to just help with the businesses and around bringing their value to the bottom line of the businesses, offering performance and TCO and data insights with modern toolkits like Kubernetes. The landscape is evolving completely. And last, in this COVID time, and now with so much data, these resource segregation and security is becoming absolutely critical. Gopala, this is a fascinating time for us to be in the IT industry right now. What do you think about?
Of course. Clearly, we are hearing again and again from customers that these are unprecedented times. And as you mentioned, it's very timely that the solution that we are bringing together is for our customers.
Yeah, do you want to just talk about the application side of it, Gopala?
Definitely. So yeah, so as Sanjay mentioned, the application landscape is changing in the enterprise. So what used to be a simple application that depended on a few instances of the database is now a full-blown application. Sanjay, if you can click through, we'll see the modern application that we are seeing in the enterprises, where these modern applications are typically depending on a variety of stateful services, right? So what used to be a simple database in the past is now a combination of multiple different services. And object stores come up as a very, very critical application requirement for these modern applications, because these object stores have become the de facto storage platform. What I mean by that is, unlike traditional applications that depended on a NAS or a SAN, these modern applications typically depend on object stores. Object stores offer a very easy way to consume storage with the S3 endpoint. And more importantly, they're extremely flexible in the way that they can be used, right? So what we see is all the way from high performance requirements for analytics and big data applications to all the way from applications that require cheap and deep capacity to the test and dev applications, all of them have come to depend on these object stores, and that's the reason they have become a mainstay in the modern enterprise, right? And the reason we are doing this solution and this integration is because object stores have almost become the de facto storage platform. Along the way, we also see a few other applications like Kafka, Mongo, Cassandra, etc. And you will see in the rest of the talk how we have made it easy for onboarding object stores as well as those other applications on our platform.
Absolutely. I think if you look at it, with the amount of data that is growing and the amount of data that needs to be stored and this needs for this modern application to leverage this data, I think object stores, like you mentioned, Gopala, has become the de facto standards, right? You know, they are RESTful APIs, they're declarative, they can scale and bring in that value that we are looking for.
Exactly. All right, so Sanjay, this is a thing that you and I have clearly seen, right? The number of applications, such modern applications, have quickly evolved, and by certain statistics, we are seeing that we will have 500 million of these applications in the next few years. And we're also seeing that the application teams within the enterprise are spending more and more dollars on these services. So clearly, there is a need for us in the industry to make the development of these applications much faster, right? So VMware as a company has been looking at it extremely seriously, and as you can see, all of those acquisitions that we have done is for our customers to make sure that they can develop these applications much more easily. So both organically and inorganically, VMware has been investing in this space.
Absolutely, and I think this is, Gopala, by far, as you said, right? This is the most critical component out here. You know,
right.
It's one thing to say the applications are changing, but it's when you put it in numbers like this, it's so clear, like, you know, the amount of modern applications and how the landscape is changing and why people need to look at the solution we are going to talk about right now so that they can help their customers or they can help their IT environments be ready to capitalize on this transition. And that brings up a very interesting thing, right? What do you think the modern IT requirement should be for those cloud native applications, Gopala?
Right. So we have been talking to customers for a long time now, and when we talk to them about what they need for their modern applications, clearly we are hearing these requirements come through. So for one, there is a new persona that we now talk to for these modern applications, right? So these developers and DevOps, that's a new persona that's evolving. And there, one thing that's very clear is now these developers control a lot of decisions in the industry as to which platform the enterprises will buy. And there, what they're looking at is that self-service capability for them to develop their applications at a much faster pace, right? So that comes up all the time. So they want that self-service, the API control. They want resources to be deployed at a fast pace so that their applications can come up, and also they can iterate on their applications much faster, right? And like I showed you in the first few slides before, they depend on a variety of these stateful services for their needs. So clearly, they would require a catalog of services they can choose from and pick the services that they need. Right, and on the other hand, the IT operators that are currently managing the traditional applications, they would require seamlessly to be managing these newer applications as well, right? So without requiring a lot of downtime to retool and learn new skills, they would like to use their existing skills and manage these modern applications. So as easy as we can make it for these IT operators, the more successful the enterprises are. Right, and one other thing that comes up is they would still like to control the access, the policies, the quotas, permissions for their modern applications, similar to how they have done for their traditional applications, right? So that's not going anywhere. So we would need to extend all of that to these modern applications as well. So lastly, what also comes up is they would like to be able to monitor, troubleshoot, have visibility into these newer services, primarily because these are extremely distributed applications, the object stores, the Mongos, Cassandras of the world. So we would like to make it easy for them to go and monitor those applications. So Sanjay, what are you seeing on the infrastructure side when you talk to customers?
I think it is pretty much you nailed the point out here, right? It's very clear, right? With the advance of cloud technologies and what the developers see and the application developers see basically is, look, we need these resources. We need an easier way for us to get the resources we want so that we can get our work done and bring the value of these modern applications. And then on the other side, you have this IT operators who are in charge of making sure that the operational pieces of this technology is taken care of. They want to make sure that their security, their infrastructure, and everything else is still within the control, right? At the end of the day, they still are responsible for making sure that the IT infrastructure is secure, is protected, and is within the boundaries and the policies that they have for making sure they are compliant with the regulatory pieces of it. They're protecting themselves from ransomware. So they do need all this enterprise data management and other capabilities. And now we are in this interesting hotspot of where you have to merge this application developer needs, their IT operator needs, the security needs. The company, the CIOs and the CTOs are no longer just looking to say, I need to buy this equipment and then just manage it and CapEx. Now we are looking at a completely reformed way of looking at IT, where the CIOs and CTOs are now looking to say, how do I contribute to the company's bottom line by bringing this extra value through my applications while making sure that my operational pieces is running fluently. I'm leveraging the cloud. I'm bringing the TCO optimization, be it in the OpEx side, be it on the CapEx side. So this is a very, very interesting time when it comes to IT. And I think this is why we are very, very excited about this solution that we have out here, right? Cloudian is a strategic partner for VMware. We have been working very, very closely with VMware across different business units. We announced the Cloudian solution, integrated solution for the cloud providers about a year and a half or two ago. And now we are extending this solution and bringing Cloudian's enterprise-grade technology into the vSphere world, right, Gopala? So this is super exciting right now.
Right. Yeah, you covered it well, Sanjay. So this is what we just launched, VMware vSAN Data Persistence Platform. As Sanjay mentioned, this platform and especially the Cloudian partnership is very strategic for us. Like we talked about a little before, object stores are becoming a mainstay. And one of the primary use cases of this platform here is to onboard object stores on vSAN and vSphere. So let me very quickly introduce the platform that we launched. The basic idea behind the data persistence platform from VMware is to make it easy for customers to run object stores and other stateful services seamlessly on the vSphere platform. Right. So with this platform and with the integration with the services, what customers will get is they get this one-click deployment of the service. They get a catalog of the different partner services. They get simplified operations, right? So when you put your host into maintenance mode, when you're upgrading your ESXi host, all those operations will be now aware of the object stores and other services that are running on top of this platform. We would provide that improved TCO for these services when they run on the platform. What we mean by that is these services like object stores offer their own availability for data, replication for data, and we would let the users use the replication on the services without having to dual replicate on the storage layer, right? So that will cut down on the storage costs when they're running on a vSphere. And we are also introducing this feature called vSAN direct configuration, wherein we would let these object stores and other services take the advantage of the underlying direct attach hardware to these ESXi nodes, right? So for instance, if customers are looking at a reduced cost, $1 per gigabyte for object stores, they would now be able to use cheap and deep, dense, hard disk-based BOMs and deploy these object stores to get that cost efficiencies closer to the bare metal uplands while getting all the turbocharged management that vSphere and Kubernetes offers, right? So the way that we're doing that is we're taking the Cloudian Kubernetes operator, which they recently launched, and we're integrating that on the platform so that you get all the benefits of Kubernetes, self-service, consumption models that are friendly to developers, automatic scale out, scale in, right? All of these properties of Kubernetes operators, along with the vSphere HCI management benefits, right? So all of that are now extended to these object stores, but you get that lower TCO and cost and performance efficiency, right? So Sanjay, what do you think of the platform, right? What have you been hearing from customers when you talk about?
Yeah, I think what you said is absolutely right, right? You know, this persistence platform from vSAN data persistence platform is the glue, right? In my opinion, I think what you're now getting is you now take the enterprise vSphere platform that the industry has been using, right? And with the vSAN data persistence platform, what you have now done is given that flexibility to something like Cloudian Hyperstore, which is now an enterprise grade object storage solution, which allows you to now scale infinitely. It brings you all the enterprise security and data management capabilities, brings in that S3 API compatibility that basically is by far the best in the industry, so that now when you're building that modern applications, you can be assured that you have the S3 API compatibility so that you get the rich ecosystem of all the applications that have been built with S3, or even if your custom applications, you have the data management that comes with an enterprise grade so that you can start small, you can scale seamlessly, deploy Cloudian as a container on the platform, manage everything through vCenter and the Kubernetes APIs, and be able to get the full benefits. Basically, now we are building a completely new private cloud, hybrid cloud platform on this particular technology. And the key out here, and as I said, right, is vSAN data persistent platform, because it's a glue. It gives you the flexibility on how to use the underlying vSAN technologies for better redundancy, or better performance, and better utilization of your storage resources underneath it, right? It simplifies your management. It gives you a completely integrated stack for running your modern applications and bringing that economics and efficiencies in your private data center.
Right.
Exactly. So now let's just switch and just talk a little bit about why object storage, right? I talked about this, like, why Cloudian as an object storage solution on VMware vSAN data persistent platform. The answer is very simple, right? Cloudian is an enterprise class object storage solution. We have over 500 plus enterprise customers. It is the highest rated object storage solution when it comes to Gartner Peer Insights, which means that the customers who are deploying Cloudian or any other object storage have consistently rated Cloudian as the #1 object storage. This is not Gartner, this is just the customers. And when it comes to Gartner's analyst, they basically just recently released object storage critical capabilities and ranked Cloudian as the #1 object storage solution, as a complete solution that allows you to get full enterprise features and functionalities by far exceeding any other object storage solution. The reason why we do that, because we have invested in it, right? Not only just building a platform that will have all the features and functionalities, but also we have invested in bringing the security that is needed. Remember in the start of the slide, we talked about why the IT operators really care about from their infrastructure. They need all the security, right? We have these certifications, whether it's FIPS, common criteria, whether it's immutability and worm certifications like SEC 17 or other certifications that are required to help make sure that your data and your infrastructure is protected from threats, internal and external, right? We are by far the first and the only native implementation of S3 APIs. And why that is very important? It's because when you are looking at building an ecosystem of applications that leverage S3 APIs, you want to make sure that the compatibility is there. If you're not using native implementation, and if you're having a gateway, which basically translates to something else underneath, you are going to have compatibility, because Amazon is updating S3 at the rate by far exceeding anything what your legacy architectures can support. And having a native implementation allows you to now support all those advanced verbs and make sure that your applications that are, if they are built on S3, they continue to operate without any interruptions. Because the last thing your operators and the developers want is, when you're looking for portability with containers and Kubernetes, is to find out, oh, when I move my applications around in terms of infrastructure, my object storage is not S3 compatible, so my applications needs to be tweaked. And that's not the way it should be, right? It is a certified solution when it comes to VMware. We are certified with the cloud providers. We are finishing our certifications with the data persistence platform. So that gives you the confidence that this solution is fully integrated. And last but not the least is Cloudian is a truly hybrid cloud, multi-cloud solution. So if you're extending your infrastructure, your IT infrastructure to leverage any of the public clouds, you want a solution that can make it happen, right? You know, you can seamlessly tier data from object storage, Cloudian Object Storage, to any of the public clouds at a granular bucket level. You can also deploy this and take advantage of VMware's ability to do hybrid and multi-cloud, where if you're running your VMware infrastructure on, let's say, Amazon or somewhere else, you now have a single uniform way of managing and accessing object storage, Cloudian object storage across clouds, on-prem, public cloud, or even remote sites and robot. Like, you know, this gives you full confidence that, you know, you have a solution that can scale, that can meet your requirements around security, that gives your application developers the ease of mind with S3 compatibility, that allows your IT operators and CIOs to trust in a technology that has been accepted enterprise-wide by different customers. So we are super, super excited. And that brings in, Gopala, the value of why vSAN, right?
Right. And as Sanjay mentioned, the data persistence platform is extremely relevant here, especially because it's a combination of several winning products in the market, right? So what vSAN data persistence platform does is it combines VCF, the vSphere with Tanzu and vSAN, which are industry leaders in their own segment. VCF offers us this ubiquitous hybrid cloud solution for customers, wherein they can deploy the stack to get a private cloud, right? A full private cloud solution for their applications on their data centers. But not just that, they can even migrate their workloads from their private cloud to the public clouds with the VMware managed cloud that uses VCF, vSphere SDDC to seamlessly migrate their applications across multiple different cloud platforms, right? So VCF is that the industry leader for hybrid clouds. vSphere with Tanzu offers the enterprise-grade Kubernetes that customers want and need for their modern applications and provides the developer-ready infrastructure for them, right? So vSphere with Tanzu is also part of the data persistence platform, and vSAN is the industry-leading hyper-converged infrastructure solution, right? So it brings in storage right into the mix, right? And that makes it extremely compelling. And what VCF also offers is that it brings in NSX into this mix. And when you have this package, you have the entire end-to-end infrastructure needs taken care of for the modern applications, right? Customers do not need to pick and choose the different pieces and put them together. This packaging here brings all of the required solutions, whether it is vSphere, whether it is Tanzu, whether it is VCF, vSAN, or NSX. It brings all of them together and puts up this combined well-integrated package for customers and offers this data persistence platform where customers can deploy object stores and other stateful services instantly and make it available for their developers to start writing applications, consuming these services, right? So that's the reason this is such a compelling platform where it is completely integrated and ready for our customers to use.
Absolutely, and I think if the best way to summarize this, Gopala, is this, right? You are basically now taking two best of the breed solutions. You, on one side, you have VMware with its proven HCI platform, proven in enterprises and support for cloud workloads, so that you can now combine that with a proven enterprise software-defined object storage solution that can give you the ability to start small and scale. It's very simple, modular, and now you can manage this centrally so that you can increase your utilization of the existing resources. Basically, it's a complementary solution offering you flexibility and choice to support not only your traditional workloads, but also modern cloud-native applications, right, Gopala?
Right.
And that's what we are looking to accomplish out here.
Right, exactly. And so as Sanjay mentioned, now you have one platform for all your needs, right? So whether it is different types of storage abstractions that your applications need, like object, block, file, all of that is now available as part of this offering that we are doing here, right? So vSphere, vSAN already offer block and file. And with the Cloudian integration on data persistence platform, we have that all important object services as well on this platform. So customers can just use one platform and get all of these abstractions available on the platform. And more importantly, another aspect to this is they can have one consolidated platform for both their modern as well as traditional applications, right? So with this integration, what we are doing is we are making it easy for our customers to deploy and manage different types of applications on the existing vSphere platform, so that they don't need to choose different siloed infrastructure for their modern as well as traditional applications. And that, to me, is the single biggest value that Cloudian and VMware are bringing together here, wherein they're offering this one platform for different abstractions as well as different types of applications for customers to manage and deploy, right?
Yeah, and absolutely. And the simple call to action out here is, if you're out there looking to modernize your data centers so that you can now support this modern applications and you need a solution, you don't have to look further, right? This is a perfect solution that allows you to modernize your applications, modernize your data centers so that you can run any applications at any scale, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud, and bring in that convergence, bring in that value, bring in that TCO, right? This is going to change the way people look at their data centers and their infrastructure, and and just pave way for the modern applications. Talking about modern applications, Gopala, do you want to talk about how vSAN gives you that flexibility? We talked about it initially a little bit earlier about the value of vSAN and data persistence platform.
Right. So this is a slide basically where we go about the different deployment options for Cloudian on the data persistence platform, right? So vSAN is a storage platform that offers native replication and availability for data. Typically, what applications do when they deploy on vSAN is they turn on the availability options within vSAN, wherein you can specify what kind of availability you want for the applications, right? So now we extend that same availability option for services, Cloudian on data persistence platform, so you can turn on availability both on Cloudian as well as vSAN, right? So that is deploying Cloudian normally on vSAN using vSAN replication. So here you have a replication on both the Cloudian layer as well as the vSAN layer. The next option that we have for customers is using something called vSAN SNA, which is vSAN support for shared nothing applications, which is storage optimized, right? So here we waive the requirement to replicate data on vSAN, right? So you turn on the availability on Cloudian. Cloudian offers rich capabilities for data availability, right? So you use one of those as you see fit for the applications, and you turn it off on vSAN, right? So this is primarily to save that TCO that I talked about a little before, wherein you still continue to get the availability from the Cloudian layer, but you save storage costs when it comes to replicating data on the storage platform, right? So this is basically very useful for customers who have really zeroed in on Cloudian as their primary availability layer. And we will also make sure that Cloudian placement is fault domain aware on vSAN, right? So we will not place two replicas of Cloudian on the same fault domain. So this is all well integrated into the fault domains of vSAN. And the third option that we're offering is vSAN Direct, right? So vSAN Direct is that technology that we're offering, which is basically using the underlying direct attach hardware, be it performance SSDs, or it could be cheap and deep, dense hard disk. You can use any of those and get that cost and performance efficiencies exposed directly to Cloudian, right? So here you do the availability, and turn on the availability at the Cloudian layer, and you save that storage cost. But in addition, you also get that performance and cost benefit that the vSAN Direct technology offers. So we believe that this is going to be extremely compelling for our customers. So one more thing before I close out on this is what we believe is the vSAN SNA is going to be very interesting for customers who want to consolidate their modern object stores on their existing vSAN clusters on which they have got their other types of traditional applications deployed. So you can still have your object stores deployed on a vSAN, but turn off the replication and get that better TCO, but manage all of it on all of the applications on a single cluster. But for customers that are looking at more denser object stores, right? So for whom dollar per gigabyte is much more important, vSAN Direct offers that capability for them to get the same level of unified management, but with lower cost, better performance using the vSAN Direct option, right?
Yeah, and Gopala, this is the slide that explains why what I said was that data persistent platform and what you guys are doing with the vSAN technologies is the glue, right? This is what allows the flexibility. This is where the joint integration comes into picture. And to simplify what you just said is customers do have choice now, right? In terms of deployment models, they can have coexisting, like, you have your traditional vSAN and Cloudian object storage solution on the same platform, or like Gopala said, right? You can have dense nodes and have dedicated environment for object storage, but it could still be part of the same underlying vSAN and VMware infrastructure layers, so that you are still centrally managing this. You have the same IT team and their learnings. It's been leveraged when it comes to not having to worry about identifying how those things should be managed and scaled, and be able to run different workloads on this. So same features, but it gives you choice, and that's the critical piece out here. And I just want to give you a quick screenshots. We don't have a lot of time, so probably we'll do another one where we can show you the actual demo. But if you look at how this integration works, now this particular screenshot shows you how you can monitor Cloudian Hyperstore in a vCenter, right? And if you have multiple clusters of Cloudian Hyperstore, it can give you a single view of all your customers. You can decide which one, since you are doing this through Kubernetes, you can spin up and down some of these clusters that you want, all from done from the vCenter UI. This is the value of integration of VMware VCF and Tanzu with vCenter and all the APIs. So that gives you a single, simple view of managing your infrastructure. And Gopala, this is the absolute key from what our customers are telling us, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, so this is, as you mentioned, Sanjay, this is one critical value that we offer customers, wherein they use vCenter for all their needs, right? Whether it is traditional applications, modern applications, objects, files, block, vCenter is their one-stop shop, single pane of glass of management. All the monitoring aspects that we have for traditional vSAN, those are all extended to Cloudian as well, right? So you can monitor the health, compliance, capacity of Cloudian on vSAN and vSAN Direct without customers needing to switch screens, right? So Cloudian has their UI that is right in the vCenter, so you can monitor Cloudian, you can manage Cloudian. So in fact, a few customers have actually mentioned that this has shaved a lot of their troubleshooting, monitoring, management time, and is really key for their success.
Absolutely. And since we have a lot of material to cover today, let's just quickly jump in, summarize, like, what are some of the Cloudian's hyperstore advantage, right? First thing first, like I mentioned, you're talking about Cloudian and an object storage, which is basically a true cloud native architecture. And what I mean by that, and I think Gopala, you mentioned this earlier, right? Object storage is key for modern cloud native applications because object storage are in general cloud native in the sense they are API driven, they are declarative. They basically allow those storage resources to be declared and composed just like any other resources that an application would do, right? And you can scale those resources from granular few nodes from terabytes to exabytes, right? Right. The native implementation of S3 APIs on the Cloudian side guarantees you the compatibility. And this is absolutely key whenever you're looking at an object storage solution, right? There are plenty of options for you guys, but ensuring that you have the guaranteed compatibility when it comes to S3, it's single most important factor when it comes to the application ecosystem that is rapidly changing, and you want to make sure that you maintain that compatibility. Data management is essential component for IT operators because you want to make sure that not only just IT operators but the developers, right? When they are doing this, not all applications are similar, right? So you want to be able to do this at a granular bucket level where you can dictate whether I want this to be replicated or whether I want this to be worm protected, whether I should be erasure coded across multiple sites so that my cloud native applications that have been accessing data across multiple sites have immediate access to the data, whether it's cloud integrated. All of those things should be managed at a granular bucket level. The architecture should be able to scale, right? You need a scale out architecture in a true sense because you don't want a single point of failure. You want to bring cloud-like experience on-prem. And with that means that you should be able to run multiple workloads, multi-tenancy, QoS, billing, and last but not the most important piece is the security, right? It is very, very important that when you are looking at building and modernizing your data centers, you are looking at what it means to keep your data, which has become the essential lifeline of businesses, safe from insider threats, safe from outsider threats like with ransomware, and allows you to meet some of the regulatory compliance reasons, whether it's the federal regulations, whether it's state regulations or country regulations, or different privacy regulations. You need to have a solution that gives you that confidence that you can be assured that your data is going to remain safe. And that, to me, is what that solution brings in, right, Gopala? It allows you to overcome the management scale thing that we talked about, and brings in that single uniform way of accessing this data and applications.
Right, exactly. And like we talked about earlier, Sanjay, customers don't need to think about which infrastructure platform to invest for their enterprise, cloud native as well as traditional applications. So it is one infrastructure. You can have flexible deployment and configuration options like we talked about, and the customer is in the control, right? So you are in control of how you want to manage, how you want to deploy, and at the end of the day, it offers that better TCO for all of the enterprise grade reliability, security that you get. You get that reduced cost, both in terms of operations as well as deployment for customers for object stores on vSphere.
Yes, and now let's jump to, I know we are running short on time, so let's jump to the most exciting piece. This is where I'm super excited because these are the use cases. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? this is where we can talk about how it opens up the markets, right? We talked about again and again how this platform allows you to now run cloud native applications, where if you're talking about your build, releases, A/B testing, automations, and it also allows you to run now your high performance applications, such as like analytics, your AI machine learning kind of things, big data, IoT edge, and also allows you to do some of the old school things, right? Your data protection, which are still very crucial components of your infrastructure, right? Whether it's backup, DR, and we are talking about not only just backup and DR, but we are talking not only just traditional applications data protection, but even modern cloud native application data protection. We're talking about compliance. We are talking about archiving, right? It brings the benefits out here is with having an enterprise grade object storage solution, which is S3 native, with the scale out modular design, and combining that with the optimized configurations around vSAN and data persistent platform, so that you can bring in that enterprise private cloud experience with self-healing, data durability, security. This opens up the doors, right, to consolidate, and we talked about, right, modernizing your data centers. Gopala, this is by far the most exciting section of our presentation today, right?
Right, I completely agree. And the use cases are so important because this opens up as you mentioned, how can object stores be useful, right? So these are some of the key points that we bring up here, which gets really our customers thinking as to what the benefits are, especially when it comes to the integration that we are doing here.
Exactly. Let's just briefly go through this, Gopala, at a high level, right? So the first one is the enterprise hybrid cloud. We know that every enterprise out there is now looking to do this, right? Whether it's data center consolidation, it's bringing the hybrid cloud so that they can eliminate resources. And you probably have seen this more from a VMware perspective, because this architecture that we are talking about out here, it basically ties into the VMware's vision of the world, right? Bringing that platform across their clouds.
Exactly. So one thing that we clearly see is the future is going to be multi-cloud, right? So you will have deployments on different types of clouds, as well as private, as well on the public clouds. So with this solution, with the VMware SDDC running across both the private as well as the public clouds, with the VMware Managed Cloud suite of products, customers get that peace of mind that their investment is future-proof, right? So any investment that they're doing with VMware is future-proof, because we offer that hybridity between private cloud as well as the public cloud. And with this integration here, you have that same benefit, same level of flexibility, even for Cloudian on a data persistence platform, right? So you have that available both on the private as well as the public cloud.
Exactly. And then with Cloudian having a very similar philosophy of where you can now leverage any of the public clouds so that you're not locked in. You can do that at a granular level. I think it fits in, the stories fit in nicely from both VMware and Cloudian perspective, because we share the same vision in terms of how the modern data center would look like.
Right.
The second use case is, obviously we talked about this again and again. It's about unified environment where you can now have capacity storage on VMware's vSphere environment, right? When I mean by that is, VMware with its leading HCI platform did offer you block and file storage so that you can now run your applications on VMware, whether it's traditional applications or Kubernetes applications. And now you're extending this to now also have an option where you can run high capacity object storage solutions on the same platform and support the S3 APIs with granular data management. So now when a customer has this challenges of managing the unprecedented data growth, you can now do that on the same platform, whether it's because you want to protect your primary applications, or you want to store lots and lots of unstructured data and then be able to run modern applications or analytics on the same platform. You now have the ability to do this, right? So that you can deliver different services level at different cost points and bring in the best value for that particular technology or that particular application requirement, right? This is a single most value in terms of delivering investment protection, delivering a platform for you to scale and meet your requirements. Gopala, you also want to talk about the converged data protection. This is something that our customers have asked again and again, and this is something that they can get started even today, right?
Right. So we have the integration with Velero, which allows customers to take backups of modern Kubernetes applications on vSphere and CNS. And I think, as Sanjay mentioned, customers want to use their existing investment in data protection solutions to take backups and protect their modern applications as well. Right, and with the integration here, Cloudian offering an object store, and that integration into Velero, we will have that capability extended to modern applications as well.
Yeah, and by the way, with traditional applications, so if you're running, let's say, Oracle or SQL or anything like this on vSphere today and leveraging vSAN, and you're looking to protect those VMs and that vSAN storage disk through any of the traditional legacy, traditional backup applications, be it like, Rubrik, Veritas, Commvault, Veeam, Cloudian is fully integrated, and you can now not only just take advantage of the data protection for modern applications, you can do that with traditional applications and become that target. Cloudian can be that S3 target on the VMware VCF and vSAN data persistence platform to offer integrated secondary storage and data protection solutions for your enterprise applications. You can also take advantage of VMware's Datrium to now also have a DR side, which can now leverage S3 object storage on the other side. So the options around data protections are plenty, right? It gives you a faster storage layer, faster than tape, but at the same time, about 70% less cost from any other traditional backup applications, because you're now bringing the economics of object storage into the play. And the other one that we have seen where a lot of things is the enterprise Splunk, right? This is a very exciting piece, right? Like we talk about modern analytics and people wanting to do a lot with their data. Once you are now building a private cloud or a data lake with VMware, vSAN, and Cloudian, you now have the ability that in this particular case, like, you can run your Splunk indexers on vSphere. You can leverage vSAN as a hot bucket, and with the Splunk Smart Store ability, you can now leverage S3 object storage on the same platform, so that you can use your warm and cold buckets to be stored on S3, so that it brings in the economics, because not all data remains hot, right? So if you want to tear off that data and hold that data on a capacity storage, but still be able to run your Splunk queries across your hot and warm buckets, you can do that on a single platform. So you can run your entire Splunk stack, which you could do today, but now with object storage, you can just bring in economics and TCO of about 60%. If you need more data, we do have some TCO papers. This allows you to not only be able to take advantage of this capacity, but you can now take advantage of object storage and run some other AI machine learning on those buckets, so to find those information nuggets, right? Gopala, this Splunk use case is very fascinating.
Yeah, and this comes up all the time in my conversations, especially because the newer architecture of Splunk has almost made object store the default storage platform, right? And that's where this is very relevant. And also the provision of vSAN Direct, which allows customers to use SSDs, hard disks, and vSAN itself, right, as an option, provides that capability to use different types of tiers. And as you mentioned, this integration is what is so compelling for customers.
Yeah, and I think this is another evidence of why I said, like, the vSAN data persistence platform is the glue for everything, right? That gives you the choices and flexibility of the different vSAN configurations to do this kind of setups. And that same thing can be talked about for different modern healthcare. We think that this opens up building a modern healthcare data architecture with Cloudian and VMware, right? Now you have the ability to run any of your healthcare applications, be it like traditional EMRs or EHRs, including or even vendor-neutral archives, right? Where the healthcare industry is fascinating, right? When amount of data that needs to be stored, it's mind-boggling with the regulations of keeping the data around for years and years, protected, encrypted, made it immutable. But that industry is also on the forefront of using some of the latest advancements on cloud-native technologies like machine learning, AI, to read and analyze that data, whether it's sequencing data, whether it's your MRI data, whether it's your X-rays, and be able to take advantage of an object storage which has rich metadata so that you can now quickly identify and look at and search for that data, but also be able to run some of this services on that same platform, whether it's so that you can run and analyze that media files and be able to offer better real-time delivery of information for your patients and as well as healthcare professionals. And from my understanding, Gopala, I think VMware, vSAN, and everything else are already certified with Epics of the world, and Cloudian is certified with the providers like GE, Fujifilm, and everything. So this gives you another set of opportunities for us to leverage this environment and this solution to offer better TCO for our customers.
Yes, that's right.
And you want to talk about the cloud native, since this is the essential component where it all got started?
Right. So as I mentioned earlier, cloud native applications are almost using Object Store as their de facto storage platform, primarily because there is a need to go fast when it comes to application development, and developers want to use that self-service model that object stores offer, that simplified S3 endpoint that they can simply get without having to go through a ticket-based mechanism for their mount points, etc. They can get this quick access to these S3 endpoints, right? And also the flexibility that object stores offers, all the way from high performance applications to test dev. That's another key for developers to use this. And lastly, object stores are available across multiple different platforms, right? So whether it is public clouds and now with private clouds, etc., we have that common service layer. This also lets developers go fast, make their applications be portable. So cloud native applications, if we have to support those, object stores are almost a necessity for us to have, and that's the reason we are seeing object stores become very, very key for these modern applications.
Exactly, and not only just that, we talked about integrating with Valero to become that data protection story for those modern cloud native applications, right?
Right.
And that's, so why don't we summarize this and the value of our platform, Gopala?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, with Cloudian on vSAN data persistence platform, we are looking at three main value additions, right? The first main value addition is that lower TCO all through, right? Whether it is improving the storage efficiency for object stores on vSphere, eliminating those infrastructure silos, having a common platform for modern and traditional applications, or using the existing skill sets for these administrators to manage object stores, right? So all across the board, you have that lower TCO for operating modern object stores on vSphere. The second aspect is that, right, Sanjay, I'm sure you have heard the same things on that. The second aspect is that increased velocity of developing modern applications. Like I mentioned, there are a lot of these applications coming on board. We have to make it faster for customers to develop, deploy, operate, manage these applications. So what Cloudian on data persistence platform enables is that it gets you that agility for application development. Lastly, we would like to keep operations simple for enterprises, and that's the key value that this integration offers. You have a single pane of glass management in vCenter. You manage modern and traditional applications in a similar fashion and at scale, right? At global scale. So we make that possible with this data persistence platform integration for Cloudian.
Any questions?
Yeah, we've got one question from Devin. Can we use heavy forwarders still with Splunk?
So, Devin, I am not a Splunk expert, but I can tell you, I think from my understanding, it is something that the Splunk Smart Store architecture supports. So you should be able to do that. What you're fundamentally just changing is the way the Splunk storage architecture is done is you are basically tiering that data, but it's still kept within the Splunk smart namespace. So you should be able to do this and search and access your data across the hot and warm buckets and cold buckets. But I'll be more than happy to connect you with our Splunk specialists so that they can answer that question for you.
All right, and I think we have one more question, and then we'll have to wrap it up. My team already runs applications with VMware vSAN. How do I get started with Cloudian? Can I just add to my environment?
Absolutely. Gopala, you want to take that and then I can chime in?
Yes.
That's the whole idea of this, right? They should be able to get started.
Right. So when Cloudian is available on the platform, it's as simple as getting the Cloudian service enabled with a single click and deploying the service on vSAN using one of the options that we presented, right? So there is no other thing that needs to be done. It's all automated.
Yeah, and I think it depends on which version of VMware you're running. We need you, I think, in order to leverage Kubernetes, it has to be vSphere 7 U1, right, Gopala?
Correct. That's right. 7.0 update 1 with the Cloudian with service.
Great. Is there anything else you'd like to end with?
No, we are super excited. I want to thank Gopala for being here and walking through all the different use cases and the value of the platform. We at Cloudian couldn't be more excited to partner and continue our evolution of our partnership with VMware so that we can bring value to our joint customers, right? This has been super, and we are super excited. Gopala, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you, Sanjay.
And thank you, Sanjay and Gopala, for taking the time to speak with us today. To find out more about the VMUG webcast program, visit vmug.com and check out the education page. And from all of us here at VMUG, thank you and have a great rest of your day.